The Bride of the Cursed Lake. Chapter 5. Feathers in the Wind. Part 2. I fled the lake and the memory of her face. My breath was short, each gasp breaking into the next, like the crack of bones or the shattering of light. The world rushed at me, spun around me, pressed closer with every step. I wanted to stop, to turn back, but the ground seemed to tilt beneath my feet, the weight of everything I didn't want to understand, pulling me down. Anna. Her name beat like a second pulse, a second heart. I thought it might burst. I thought I might come apart with it. I couldn't believe she was gone. I couldn't believe she was there. The vision burned inside me, bright and wild, until it was all I knew, all I had. She was there, at the edge of the lake, as real as breath, as close as a ghost. The white dress she wore on our wedding day, on the day she disappeared, wrapped around her like mist. It couldn't be a dream. It couldn't. She was there, and she was gone. And now the things I couldn't make sense of were finding a way to make sense of me. The wind cut at my skin, and the chill of it drove me faster and faster. She was here, with me, as real as anything. She was waiting, and this time I wouldn't fail. I couldn't. I pushed my mind and feet faster and faster toward the answer, toward the truth, toward the shape of her absence. It was close now, close enough to feel beneath my skin the shape of something I'd been circling without seeing. Each step back toward the village sharpened the outlines of what had always been there, just out of reach. The names I'd written, the dates scrawled in the margins of borrowed pages, the quiet horror of those headlines. They began to align, not by chance, but by some dark design I hadn't wanted to face. I hadn't spent days at the library, only hours, but they had weighed on me like a lifetime. The records, the whispers, the old grief pressed between the pages, all of it had been pointing here, to this moment, to the truth I'd refused to name. The lost women, the swan-shaped shadows, the rumors that clung to the lake like mist. I wasn't losing my mind. Or if I was, it wasn't madness at all. It was recognition. It was beginning. I remembered the cottage that Anna and I shared. I remembered the scrawled notes pinned to the walls, circled and frantic, barely legible. I remembered the news clipping, the name almost buried beneath my exhaustion. Ravenscroft. Lilith Ravenscroft. The paper had called her the keeper of forbidden histories, had said she was the last of her line, the last link to the village's dark inheritance. I thought it superstition, foolishness, but now it flashed in my mind like prophecy, like the blade of a knife. A woman who knew the lake, knew the rituals, knew the impossible truth of the disappearances. Anna had vanished. I had to know why. I had to know everything. I felt a rush of strength as I neared the village, a dark vitality I thought I'd lost. It pulled at me, drove me, filled me with a raw urgency that numbed me to the cold, the ache, the world falling apart around me. Cobblestones slipped beneath my feet, the early morning mist burning my lungs, each breath like fire, each step like a tremor in the earth. The village stirred, but only faintly, like something roused from too deep a sleep, reluctant to wake. Its silence pressed against me, heavy and still, the weight of water just before the break of the ice. Doors creaked on their hinges, opening and closing with the finality of coffin lids. I moved through the narrow streets as though wading through someone else's dream, each step muffled by the hush that clung to the walls, louder than the thunder of my own breath. Past the leaning chapel, the weathered gravestones, the sagging rows of cottages dozing beneath the fog. A raven's cry split the quiet, black against the gray light, sharp enough to stop me mid-step. I froze, pulse racing, certain for a moment that I'd wandered off the path, that the village itself had shifted while I wasn't looking, bending the roads into new shapes behind my back. The lanes ahead blurred and wavered, stretching away, like threads pulled loose from the fabric of the world. The wind carried whispers, songs, promises, lies. I wanted to cover my ears, but the names, the dates, the memories of what I'd seen found their own way in. I shook my head, tried to clear it, tried to focus on the truth of what was ahead, the truth of Lilith Ravenscroft and the secrets she kept. The mist thickened, smothered me in silence. A chill wrapped itself around my spine, left a trail of panic in its wake. And then I saw it, a path that wasn't there a moment ago, a path that bent away from the village, toward the edge of the woods, toward the one thing I hadn't dared to believe. I ran, Anna's name a prayer and a curse on my lips, the feather still beating in my blood. The world turned itself inside out, and I kept going, following the ache, following the unraveling thread of hope, of madness, of love. Her cottage appeared out of the mist, like a bad dream. It crouched beneath the weight of years, beneath the weight of memory and shadow, its walls covered in creeping ivy and superstition. I paused, breathless, watched the house as if it might rise up and swallow me whole. It didn't belong to the village. It didn't belong to the world. It was something ancient, something watching, something alive. It perched at the edge of the forest like a warning, like a grave, and I felt the pull of it in my bones, the pull of the lake, the pull of everything I'd tried so hard to forget. A sagging roof, old wood straining to hold together. Drying herbs and feathers hung like omens from the eaves, like charms, like threads. I smelled sage, or maybe decay, maybe both, and the air turned thick, turned electric. Something alive in the ground, in the water, in the walls. I should have been afraid, but I wasn't. The urgency, the certainty, the burn of her image filled me, burned away doubt, burned away everything except the need to know. I reached the door, breathless, my steps uncertain, my body swaying with exhaustion and the weight of what I'd come to ask. I lifted my hand to knock, but hesitated, my fingers hovering just above the wood. For a moment, the courage that had carried me this far wavered, thin as smoke. I pressed my palm against the door instead, steadying myself, feeling its rough surface beneath my hand, like the skin of something old and waiting. The door creaked open as though by its own will, and the air that rushed out at me smelled of damp earth, of shadows, of ritual and rebirth. I hesitated, took a step back, my mind and heart tearing themselves in two. But then I saw Lilith Ravenscroft emerging from the dark, a ghostly shape against the clutter and gloom. Her black hair was a spill of night, her green eyes cutting through the gray, through the weight of her ancestors. She wore a shawl, dark as morning, and for a moment I froze, not from fear, but from the weight of recognition, as if the past had stepped into the room wearing different skin. I stood there, silent, waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to break, waiting for something that felt like forgiveness. Her eyes flickered with recognition, with a knowledge older than I could bear. She seemed to know me, seemed to know why I'd come. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words died, choked by the enormity of her gaze. Lilith stepped aside without a sound, her silence as sharp as a scream. She let me in. The room swallowed me, folded itself around me, bent reality until I couldn't tell what was true, what was false, what was only the shadow of my own unmaking. Shelves sagged beneath the weight of ages, beneath the weight of history and madness. Old books and brittle scrolls, ancient tomes with cracked leather bindings, papers and manuscripts and knowledge too terrible to know. Feathers hung from the rafters, from the ceiling, from the dark corners of her soul. They brushed against my skin, drew themselves across my mind, sang songs of despair and hope and surrender. The air was thick with dust, with herbs, with the sound of transformation. I felt it enter me, felt it cling to my insides, my lungs, my heart. She watched me from the edge of the room, watched me as if waiting for me to drown. I was trembling, frantic, full of desperation and certainty, and 1,000 things I couldn't name. I stumbled through the thick air, through the dreams and the grief, and the weight of unspoken knowledge. Her gaze held me, pinned me, dared me to speak. I opened my mouth, and the words poured out like blood. I told her about Anna, about the vision at the lake, about the feather and its pulse and its insistence. My voice cracked like a branch beneath the snow. like a soul beneath its own terrible weight. She listened, her eyes never leaving me, the depth of her knowing cutting into me, each glance a knife, a promise, a rebirth. I spoke too fast, too loud, too much, and the silence of the room swallowed each word, swallowed me whole. Lilith did not move, serene, unreadable, and colder than the air between us. Her eyes, the forest green of another world, seemed to read me, to weigh me, to measure the distance between my hope and her certainty. She listened without flinching, without speaking, without offering the salvation I'd hoped she would bring. Her presence was unbearable, like the waiting before death, like the moments before truth. I finished my story breathless, cracking under the weight of it, my need as raw as the surface of the lake. Her expression shifted then, the practiced skepticism melting into something darker, something older, something that dared me to doubt. The lake chooses those who belong to it, she said, her voice low and rhythmic, each word a soft percussion of memory and fate. The transformation begins with visions, with longing. Her tone was deliberate, the cadence of ritual threading through each sentence, through my blood, through my grief. I pressed her for more, the desperation sharp in my voice, my hope bleeding into anger, into terror, into love. Her words had been air and fire, had burned their way through me, left nothing but smoke and fear, and wild, terrible certainty. She remained calm, unmoved by my madness, untouched by my despair. Her silence drove me mad, drove me past reason, past everything I'd once believed. Tell me, I begged, the words unraveling from my mouth, the last threads of sanity leaving with them. Please, tell me. She held my gaze with the precision of a knife, the clarity of an ancient curse. She answered in riddles, in half-truths, and fragments of forgotten lore, her words cutting through my resolve, each one lodging deeper than the last. Those who vanish are not lost, she murmured, her eyes never leaving mine. Merely changed. The water remembers what we tried to forget. Lilith turned away at last, moving with the quiet purpose of someone accustomed to carrying the weight of unspeakable truths. She reached for an aged manuscript, its spine cracked, its pages brittle and yellowed, and laid it open between us on the table. Her fingers, thin and sure, traced the faded illustrations, women half turned into swans, their faces caught between grief and surrender, their eyes wide with something too deep to name. It has always been the same, she murmured, as though reading not from the page, but from the long memory of the lake itself. Those who cross the threshold between what is and what might be are never as they were before. I staggered, the force of her certainty a blow to my soul, a blow to the fragile thing I still dared to call hope. My vision blurred. 1,000 white feathers crowding in, spinning me toward the edge of my own undoing. She watched my reaction, her face a mask of grave compassion, as though she'd seen this all before, as though she knew how it would end, as though she knew I would fail. The silence between us stretched out like the shoreline, and I felt myself collapse beneath the weight of its promise, the weight of her warning. The words struck at me like a blow, and for a moment I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't hold the shape of my own certainty. Lilith leaned back then, folding her hands into the dark folds of her shawl, her eyes narrowing as though measuring the depth of my resolve. "You are not the first to come to me like this," she said, her voice soft as smoke, heavy as earth. "And you will not be the last. But know this, the price of refusing to let go is transformation of a different kind." Her words, her silence, her impossible truth pressed down on me until I couldn't breathe, until I couldn't tell the difference between my grief and her certainty. Numb, desperate, half insane with fear, I reached toward the table, swept together the scattered manuscripts, the brittle notes, the books with illustrations on their fading pages. Each was an arrow, a shield, a grave. I gathered them as though they could save me, as though they could bring her back, as though they could bring me back. Lilith did not stop me. Her eyes remained fixed on me, reading the wild desperation in each movement, each breath, watching as I stumbled toward the door, arms full of paper and dread. My body swayed with exhaustion, my mind thick with the haze of too many truths, too much grief, and not enough air between the two. I didn't look back, couldn't look back. Anna was ahead of me, ahead of my pain, ahead of my undoing. I left the cottage, the door groaning shut behind me like the closing of a mouth, sealing the warning inside. The weight of her words pressed against my chest as I stumbled back through the mist, my arms full of stolen pages and terrible truths. Each step felt heavier than the last, my mind a tangle of questions I could no longer outrun. I didn't look back,